For this afternoon and tonight, a significant winter storm, including heavy snow with blowing and drinking.
Hello and welcome to the SnowBrains podcast, where it's my job to interview the most intelligent people in the snow sports industry and pass their fascinating knowledge on to you, our listeners. I'm your host, Miles Clark. I'm a professional free skier, a mountain guide, an Alaska heli ski guide, a UC Berkeley molecular cell biology graduate, the founder and CEO of SnowBrains, and today is day number 297 of my 300 project, where I'm trying to ski 300 days in a single year. It's been an absolute grind of late, with no ski resorts open and hiking every day. It's been an honor to execute this project in Alaska, Antarctica, Bariloche, Argentina, El Chalten, Argentina, Chilean Patagonia, Tierra del Fuego, Argentina, Lake Tahoe, California, Mammoth and the Eastern Sierra in California, Utah, Wyoming, and British Columbia, Canada. This project is inspired and dedicated to my mother, who survived cancer 3 times over a 20-year period and finally succumbed to her 4th cancer last winter. She was stubborn, tough, gritty, and determined. And that's what it's taking to complete this 300 project. And she is the reason why it's happening. She was my rock, stalwart and fierce in any kind of storm. Thanks, Mom. My guest today is Colby Stevenson. Colby won the silver medal at the Beijing Winter Olympics in 2022. He's won 3 gold medals and a bronze at the X Games. Colby even won the World Cup Overall and Slopestyle crystal balls in 2021. Colby was also in a life-altering car accident in his teens that changed everything for him. His story is inspiring. Hello, Colby. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. How are you, man?
I'm good, dude. Just enjoying some summer downtime and living it up in Utah. It's super hot right now, but I've been out on the lake and stuff. Yeah.
It has been super hot, man. I'm dying. I'm not used to Park City, of all the mountain places I spend time, Park City must be the hottest in the summer.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was close to 100 up here yesterday. And down in Salt Lake, it's obviously over 100 a lot of days in the summer, but it's typically 10 degrees cooler up here. But still, yeah, it's dry heat too, so it really feels like a desert.
It does feel like a desert up here. We're on the edge of the Great Basin Desert, which is like 600 miles wide. So I'm seeing you're wearing a shoulder harness right now. When did you ski last?
Yeah, I was actually just up in Whistler a few weeks ago, doing some summer skiing with the U.S. team, and that was great. That was an unexpected trip. I was actually supposed to have shoulder surgery right before that, and before that, I was skiing in Sweden.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I went from Alaska in April straight to Sweden for 2 weeks of park skiing, and then that was pretty much it for the season. Then I went surfing for a couple weeks, and then I got to go to Whistler because my surgery got pushed back 2 weeks.
Oh, good.
So ended up squeezing in a bunch of summer activities in a short amount of time.
That's sick, man. How many days did you ski this season?
I never get a real count because I go to so many different resorts, but I'm guessing around 200.
Oh, maybe. Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
so you're grinding, you're skiing every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
So basically today I want to dig into all the things that you've done. Your Olympic silver medal, your X Games gold medals, your massive car crash injury, your Alaska heli skiing, filming with Match 6 Productions, which I really want to hear about. Mm-hmm. And we'll start with the rapid fire questions, then dig into some of your deeper stories. But even that's actually a lie, because I want to start with this quick and dirty 2-minute life story. This is something I do with all the people I hire at SnowBrains. It's how I conduct my interviews. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a really cool way to connect with people, figure out where they're coming from, where they're headed. So if that's cool, man, I'd love to hear your quick and dirty 2-minute life story.
All right. Let's see if I can squeeze in that much. So moved out from New Hampshire when I was 4 years old. My parents they were skiers from the East Coast, wanted to live out west where there's better snow and close to an airport. They both worked for the airlines. So they chose Utah. We moved here in 2001. Super lucky for me. I was already a skier at that point. And, all through elementary school, it was like skiing was the only thing the main thing I wanted to do. So yeah, skied a ton growing up and was on the race team. And then when I figured out I wanted to do freestyle, I mean, I always was jumping off stuff, like jumping off the balcony, of the second floor onto the couch and crazy stuff like that as a kid. And yeah, started doing the water ramps when I was 6 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I learned to backflip on the water ramps when I was 6, and then I learned it that winter on snow.
When you were 6?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I did my first backflip at 22. Continue.
And then that was kind of like a catalyst for me to just want to pursue freestyle. And, at that point I was like, okay, I don't really want to race as much. And yeah, by the time I was 8, I was competing in slope style, and I ran for the X Games half pipe when I was 8. Which was crazy. I've got like a fond memory of like crowd surfing with my ski boots on.
No way.
At the bottom of X Games half pipe. Like people were just like moving me around. I'm like kicking people in the head with my ski boots by accident and stuff.
And you were 8?
Yeah, when I was 8 years old, and like Tanner Hall and Simon Dumont, they were like battling it out. After I was at the X Games, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is insane. These guys are rock stars. Like, it's so cool that skiing can like bring you this much enjoyment and like rock star lifestyle. And that's just kind of was a catalyst again, like for me. And then so I went to the winter sports school here in Park City. It's the winter school, it's a high school that goes during the summer, from April till November. Super lucky to have that here.
So you have all winter off.
And all winter off. Yeah, I was able to travel and do all these competitions. I mean, I don't know if I would have made it through regular high school without how much we traveled. I wouldn't have been able to do as much. Got a snowmobile when I was 13. I've been begging my mom since I was like 10 to get one. Nice. And so she bought me like $1,000, like year 2000 Ski-Doo Summit, and ripping around on that thing for a few years until I bought my own 2008 Ski-Doo Summit. That's when they first redid the chassis, and it was actually like a really good snowmobile. They slimmed it up a bit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, when I was 16, that's when I really picked up snowmobiling and was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And yeah, the snowmobiling, man, like I always knew it would get me out to where I wanted to ski, but then I ended up just loving to ride the snowmobile itself. I grew up riding dirt bikes and mountain biking, and so the crossover was there once I figured out the counter steering and stuff. And so now I'm snowmobiling is one of my favorite things to do. And the fact that it gets us out to some insane ski terrain is just icing on the cake. And
do you guys ever build jumps too, or is it mostly backcountry?
Yeah, I mean, we're building jumps for sure. Okay. Tons of jumps. So yeah, I've put out 2 video projects, just like season edits prior to this year's filming. And I'm stoked that this year's filming was for an actual movie. Most of it was for Good Company, which is like Tom Wallish and friends.
Wow.
So that's what my full part's going to be in, tons of jumps, lines and stuff. And then I filmed 2 days with TGR in Jackson, and they actually shared the footage with us so that we can use it for
that was nice.
Super nice. Yeah. And like, that was kind of what I said going into it. Like, I'm happy. I'd love to be a part of your guys' film, but I'm trying to have all my shots in one place just so we can, have the best, showing of all of it. And then, the MSP thing came along and they said the same thing. They're down to share the shots, and I'm so glad to be a part of that. And yeah, crazy that, growing up here, making edits, snowmobiling, all this, building jumps has just led to now being part of ski films. And
well, your humbleness is very apparent, because I feel like you skipped all the most exciting parts, which is good, because I'm going to harass you about them individually. Because like, the Olympics, the X Games, the car crash, you've had a lot. Are you 25 only? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm 25.
That's ridiculous. You've lived a lot lot of life in those 25 years. So let's roll through the rapid fire questions, and we'll start digging down, because I want to learn more about all of it. So how many days do you ski per year? I
would say at least 200 for sure.
Wow, I think that's the highest that we've heard. And how many of those are backcountry days?
I would say probably like 50. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, between 30 and 50, I'd say, is a safe bet. This year, closer to 50.
What's your biggest accomplishment in skiing?
In skiing, my biggest accomplishment would probably be, I'd have to say, slopestyle X Games gold twice.
Yeah.
Now. do it once is one thing, but to do it again and just like,
And that was this year you did one, right?
yeah, I won it this year.
Damn. What's your
Yeah.
biggest accomplishment in life?
Biggest accomplishment in life is being really outgoing and like making a lot of friends all over the world, and being able to, yeah, share experiences with amazing people and my family. Like they're super rad, and I owe everything to them for building my character. And yeah, I'd say my greatest accomplishment in life is just being able to have a lot of different friends of all types and all backgrounds.
How do you define yourself?
I define myself as just like a action sports enthusiast that is chasing a feeling and trying to enjoy my time on Earth, I guess.
That's great, man. Where's your favorite place to ski?
After this last trip to Alaska, I have to say that, but that's like not of this world. Of this world, probably right up here at Alta, just because it has so many hits in like a small contained area. And I know the mountain like the back of my hand now, after being showed around for some years and spending a lot of time up there.
Nice, man. And how about what might be your favorite mountain ranges?
The Rocky Mountains. I grew up here. I know them really well. And I know a lot of really cool snowmobile terrain and ski terrain that's accessible and kind of like tucked away. But what's another cool mountain range? I mean, we met in the Chugach.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Amazing mountain range. Like,
it's got to be in there.
Yeah, that's definitely up there. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Tetons are amazing. I love spending time out there. I've filmed a lot of my backcountry videos out there.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What would you do if you couldn't ski?
I'd probably be surfing. If I'd gotten into surfing at a younger age, I might have pursued that, just because of the rush you get, and it's less consequential than what we do for the most part, depending,
and less stuff.
Surfing. Yeah, less stuff. Yep, exactly. But I don't know. I feel like I'd be doing some action sport, whether it's
I'm the same, man. Yes, surfing is just magic.
Mm-hmm. But I love to have the ability to do both. It's like such a good trade-off from the ski season. Go out and chase some waves and hang out with your buds and hang out in the warm weather.
Absolutely, all of those things. Mm-hmm. What scares you the most in the mountains?
No fall zones, big exposure, skiing these steep lines, slough management, and obviously avalanches, the big one, deep slabs, these persistent weak layers that hide under the snow, and you never know when they're going to detonate. It's a lot. It's like, it's never safe out there. You got to always move with the thought of something bad happening. And yeah, it's scary as shit, man. Like, I've had to save a friend from an avalanche. I've been in an avalanche. It's
wow.
Like really scary stuff.
What do you love most in the mountains?
What I love most in the mountains is feeling like freedom, and feeling like when you're out there and there's, you're away from society and you're just that much closer to the, Mother Earth. I don't know, like, I don't say you're closer to God, but like you're up there just on the peaks. I mean, it's the contrast of the ocean too. Like, it's just that the power. I don't know. I just love being out there and feeling free and having this playground to explore, and the means to do it, and then the technology. It's wild. It is wild.
What's the funniest accident you've had in the mountains?
Yeah, one time I was doing the pond skim here at the canyons. They do it every year in the spring, and I dressed up as a Hershey bar. So I like painted a cardboard box. It was a bike box. So I was a little kid, and you imagine I cut a hole in the top, and it was vertical.
Nice.
And my arm sticking out the side, and I was coming in, and the wind was like hitting my chest because it was flat. And so I had to go like sideways a little bit to try to cut through the wind. And then I got like halfway across the pond, and then stopped and like fell forward onto my face. And then I couldn't swim because
Oh,
my
no.
arm was like sticking out the box. So I'm sitting there like drowning face down in this pond skim.
Oh, God.
And someone dove in and saved me. Otherwise, I totally would have drowned because I could not swim at all.
Whoa, that's so scary, man.
It was pretty funny, but I was like all excited and I didn't realize I couldn't swim because my arms were halfway out of the box.
Funny after you got saved. Yeah, holy shit.
It's funny after I got saved. Yeah, just the fact that I could have died dressed up as a Hershey box. Like,
whoa, that's classic. Wow, you are a like lifetime skier. I love that. That's one of your stories. What's the scariest accident you've had in the mountains?
You know, I've been pretty lucky in the backcountry, which is great compared to horror stories I've heard. But I would say it was when my friend Alex got buried in an avalanche right here in Park City, a zone we'd been skiing the 2 days previous, and it kept snowing like a foot every night. The avalanche danger was moderate. We knew we probably shouldn't have been out in this zone. It was the exact aspect that could slide, but we felt comfortable because we'd been skiing it day to day.
Right.
And yeah, he was like hitting this like wind lip, gapping over the steepest part of this like little bowl. And that time he caught his tip on the lip and then rolled over the convexity and and just ripped out this bowl, and it swept him through these aspens. I had just skied a line and was off to the side, like watching him. So I watched him come down through the trees and lost him for a sec. Like, and then I skied right over once the avalanche stopped, and I saw his ski sticking out.
Wow.
And like I was getting my beacon out, but then I saw his ski just like wiggle a little bit.
So go for that.
Yeah, and just went for it and started digging. And then his head was like 3 feet left of where I thought it was because he was like scorpion.
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyway, it was really scary just because like I knew that if I didn't save him, he was gonna die. And I just like that. You just get into fight or flight right away. You're like gonna fight, you know.
Yeah. Wow, that's a scary one, man.
But yeah, he was only buried for like a minute. Which was crazy.
I bet it was still scary for him though.
Oh my God, it was terrifying. He was screaming, like here.
Yeah.
I could barely hear him. Once we got digging closer to him, you could hear him. He had a GoPro on too. It was nuts, dude.
Whoa.
Going on like Good Morning America and shit about it. And
no way. When was that?
It was right after the Olympics because he medaled in 2018, and that's why he didn't want us to use his name in it.
Wow.
He got a bronze medal for Canada.
Wow.
And, yeah, and then he was like just getting into backcountry, and it was obviously really scary. But yeah, man, fuck, shit's so intense and
so scary.
The most familiar zone. It wasn't even a big the amount of vert that slid was like maybe 100 feet, like
nothing,
150.
Whoa.
Or like, yeah, it was not a lot, and it just like the whole pocket ripped out. It was like a 4-foot slab, like it was gnarly, dude.
That's intense, man. Yeah, I mean, and I think that the general public, including me, I just don't picture. I think of you as a park skier, but you're not, right? You ski everything, but I just don't picture like pro park skiers getting in avalanches. I've never had to unbury someone in an avalanche. That's terrifying.
Yeah, and luckily I had my training too. That I've been. I got a level 2 training. I've been.
That's huge.
2 level 1s and a level 2, and you got to refresh every year. Like, every other year you got to take a class again. But
wow, man, heavy.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, I've done a lot of backcountry skiing like off camera, like just in my free time. I did a shoulder rehab in 2018, and I skied a ton of backcountry that year just because I couldn't really do anything extreme. So I just went touring like 30 days. It was nuts.
Perfect. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
And I've got some different questions for you because of how strong you are in the park. What might be the scariest park feature you've hit?
Scariest park feature I've hit. I mean, it's got to be one of these massive jumps. I used to always guinea pig jumps, like when I was younger. So
and tell people that what that means.
A guinea pig is someone who goes first to test out the jump, who has to figure out the speed, and it's obviously terrifying because you feel like you're going really fast, but you're not sure if that's too fast or not fast enough because you're in like 100-foot gap. I don't do that anymore. We let the young guys do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't do that.
Oh my God. I mean,
and how big is a massive jump to you?
A massive jump to me is like 100 feet.
Wow.
And in the park, that typically means you're going to go like 40 feet high, like sometimes 50 or 60 above the knuckle.
Jeez.
Like really high consequence. There was a really scary one in Mount Hood, like actually the couple days before my car crash.
In the summertime?
Yeah, it was a spring jump.
Whoa.
In May. And it was for West Coast Sessions 10. That was 10 years of people meeting, the ski industry, people in the free ski industry meeting up and having a crazy session at Mount Hood. And they built all these dope features.
Wow.
And that year they built this massive jump. The lip itself was like 30 feet high. And it was just like a launch ramp. Oakley made like posters of me from it and shit because it was just so picturesque. That's where I did my first triple cork on that jump.
Really? Jeez.
The speed was like go-kart, which is like sit tucking on the back of your skis because you actually get more speed than a race tuck when you sit back like that. Do it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go-kart or mini tuck, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's what the speed was. Go-kart all the way in as fast as you could, and you couldn't go too big. But if you didn't tuck all the way in, you'd probably case.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, but once you got it figured out, then you're like, oh, I'll just go as fast as I possibly can. And it's the right speed.
And when he says case, I think that means hitting the knuckle of the jump. So hitting it where it's like kind of flat.
Coming up short.
What would happen to you if you hit the knuckle on a jump that big?
I mean, people broke their legs and broke their ankles and stuff.
Okay.
And yeah. I mean, when I was 9 years old, I cased a jump up at the Utah Olympic Park and I broke my heel in half. As a 9-year-old, that was really traumatic. I was in a boot for like 6 months.
So that's a long recovery.
That was bad. Yeah, that was a tough one. And that really shaped me as a person. It really like humbled me a bit. And like, it took me a few years to come back mentally from that. It was my first like real injury that I was like, it made me gun shy for a long time.
And you were 9. I don't even remember being 9. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. That was tough, but needed it, it's what shapes you. And injury is part of the sport, but.
And we're gonna get more into that. And so, yeah, what might be the biggest park feature you've hit?
It can't be much more than 100 feet. I mean, there was a jump at Mount Hood, a different jump at Mount Hood when we were younger. I think I was 15 when I did a dub 10 on the 100-footer there.
Whoa.
And that was a big moment for me.
And just like, we won't ask any more like this, but just to initiate it, what is a dub 10?
Yeah, dub 10. So it's a double 1080. You're doing 2 corks. So you do cork 720 into like a cork 3, essentially.
And to like the layman, it's basically like doing 2 flips and 3 spins, essentially.
Yeah,
but more off axis.
3 full rotations. Yep. Typically, the first rotation is a 720, and the second rotation is a 360.
Okay, but slow it down.
And that one specifically, when I did it on that jump, the first 720 I did was like almost upright, and then it just dipped into like a Lincoln loop. So it was really, I don't know why it went like that, but that's just how it turned out. And,
whoa!
But yeah, jump was really big.
Over like 100-foot jump.
Yeah, 100-footer. It was huge. I mean, you're in the air time's like 3 or 4 seconds probably.
That's insane, dude. That's absolutely insane. So what's the hardest crash you've had in the park?
I mean, the one that comes straight to my mind is Dew Tour 2017. It was the first Olympic qualifier. On the last jump, the last feature of the course, I thought the sky was the ground.
No.
And I opened up, like put both my hands above my head, like thought I was landing it. And then I was all of a sudden upside down still.
Oh, and no.
I tore this shoulder. It hit the knuckle like this. And, if I was a foot shorter, I would have broke my neck right on the knuckle. I landed on my head. It was crazy. Whoa. So my arm caught the knuckle, but my head actually made it to the landing. And dude, that was bad. I just tore both rotator cuffs in my shoulder, clean off the bone, and
whoa.
So much adrenaline though. I like got up and like was like, I was like, I gotta get to the top, I gotta tape it up, like I gotta go again. Like I had a winning run, like I was doing 3 1260s and a 1440. So that's spinning all 4 directions.
Whoa.
That's what's the hard part about slopestyle is like we're spinning right and left and then going switch, which is backwards, also right and left.
Amazing.
So, that was really tough, to go down like that. And then that was Olympic year. I had a really good chance at going. I was I was 20 years old.
Wow.
I had a really good chance, to do well at the Olympics. And
that knocked you out.
Blew the season. Yep. And then I ended up just like enrolling in 5 courses down at Westminster College and just watching all my homies go through Olympic season while I was studying. It was pretty crazy, but at least I was like busy and, another life lesson. It just taught me that nothing's for certain and to not want something so bad that you'll send it, even though you didn't have the speed. Yeah, that was the lesson I learned from that competition. I wanted to win so bad that even though I went too big on the jump before and like compressed, I only had like 1 or 2 seconds to decide if I had enough speed going up the next jump. I was like, oh, I don't feel like I have enough speed, but then I was like, no, you want to win so bad. So it was just like that split second. And in hindsight, I had 2 more runs. That was only my first round of finals.
Oh, no.
Like, I could have just like done a switch dub 9 or 10, like got my confidence and then just, anyway.
I love that a switch dub 9 is a safety trick for you.
Yeah.
That's insane. And, speaking of life lessons, as you mentioned, how many friends have you lost in the mountains?
Definitely a few. Yeah, it's crazy, actually. I can think of a couple just Park City kids here that we've lost park skiing. One of them, Charlie, here, like, was it last winter or the winter before? I think it was the winter before. He, spring skiing, just like flew off the run into some rocks. And
oh, no.
Yeah, horrible. Amazing kid. Really good skier, good friend of mine for a long time. Just, freak accident, flew off the run into rocks in the spring. It was crazy. And then another kid, Sam, another Park City kid, just like on a side jump before the park, was doing a 360, went a little too big, went 450, caught his edge, mousetrap, hit his head, and his brain swelled. And they tried to relieve the pressure by drilling a hole or like taking a piece of his skull out. And that was down in Australia. Yeah, he was in a coma for like 2 weeks, I want to say, and then passed. So, I mean, like, and that's not counting all the people that have died from avalanches and things like that.
It's crazy, man.
Like, it doesn't matter how experienced you are. Like, there's always a threat out there in the mountains, and it's easy to think like, oh, it's not going to be me, but that's a very dangerous game. And until something like dramatic happens to you that opens your eyes, like you're always going to think, oh, like, that might not happen to me. Or the Rose says it's safe to go out today in the backcountry, but no, you have to always like think something bad could happen.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm so sorry that happened. And thank you for sharing. And I randomly here in Park City stumbled on Sam's memorial that he has out there. And then I kind of looked him up, and they've done a lot of good in his name. So
for sure.
That was neat to see.
Yeah.
How many avalanches have you been in?
So I've been in one really big one that I set off in France when I was like 16.
Whoa.
That one was crazy. I was with my buddy Andy, and we were at a slopestyle event, and it snowed a bunch. This resort called Vars, VARS. And we brought our POW skis that trip because we knew that could happen. It might snow. So we're out shredding the resort, and it was kind of like we're in this fog, like in this clag, it's in the clouds, and we're like traversing under this cliff band. It's all hard pack, and then boom, there's like a 2-foot wind bluff that stretched, further than we can see. It was all foggy, but we're like, oh, this is sick. Like we found the POW. And I got out maybe 50 feet into it. Andy was like still traversing on the hard pack.
Okay.
And his whole face ripped like a football field across probably, and like 2 or 3 foot deep, because it was like this wind bluff just sitting on this hard pack that we were traversing on. And luckily it triggered as easily as it did, because we were both about to start skiing down, in the middle of it or wherever, I don't know. And anyway, it ripped me. I was still traversing to go further out, and it ripped off my feet. I was sideways, so it just took me to my side, and Andy's right there, and like my life like flashed before my eyes because it took me down like a few hundred feet.
Whoa. And
luckily I was at the top of it, so there wasn't a ton of snow above me that ripped because we were under this cliff band.
Wow.
Yeah, we were like in the fog. Like there's no way a patroller would have seen us if we did both get buried. And anyway, saw some like moments from my childhood and stuff as I was sliding down, because I thought it might be the end. And then he had to dig me out with his ski, because once it stopped, It was like solidified, like up to my chest. Like I couldn't move.
Damn.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. And that was definitely a big eye opener for me because it was like, holy crap, like we both could have just died if that didn't trigger as easily as it did. So
Whoa.
scary.
That's heavy, man. Wow. Thank you for sharing that one. This next question reads, have you ever been hurt while skiing? And we know you have from what we've heard already, but do you have a quick list of your skiing injuries?
Yeah. I've actually been pretty lucky. I probably had more injuries from other things, but yes, ski injury wise, when I was 6, I broke tib fib
Ooh,
on a tree
damn.
in ski school. That's a hilarious
dude.
story.
You've been through it.
I know. Well, I would always let my ski school like go ahead, and I would like sit at the back and like let them get ahead so I could bomb and like catch up with them. And then they went through these like whoops in the trees, and so I was like bombing through these whoops and just like clipped my tip on a tree. And anyway, but that one I was so young, like I healed quick, and I barely remember like being in a cast, to be honest. And then it was the broken heel when I was 9.
Jeez.
I mean, I tweaked my knees and stuff, nothing serious.
That's great.
I hyper like extended it really bad on a jump, like landing backwards and catching my tail, and it just my knee went like the opposite way.
Ooh.
That was when I was like 13, but that was like 2 weeks, and I was fine. And then I think my next one was my shoulder that I can think of. I mean, I had other things mixed in there, like a fractured tailbone on a rail. Opening day, Park City, I was coming backwards into a rail, and I clipped the front of it with the tail of my ski. And it launched me back, and I just landed right on my tailbone on the rail.
Oh, it's worst case scenario.
Yeah, it hurt to poop for like a month. I didn't go to the doctor or anything. I just sucked it up.
Ooh.
But I figured I fractured the tailbone. Yeah, and then it was like my torn rotator cuff in 2018. A couple concussions mixed in there, but nothing like no serious ones.
Good.
Yeah, that's kind of my list of injuries.
Not bad. Well, and then you're having a surgery now, which I guess is just cumulative injury.
Cumulative injury. First injured it in like 2 summers ago, slalom skiing, water skiing. Water skiing.
No.
Had like the best session of my life, like in Lake Powell, sunset sesh, glass. And I just went for a little too long. Like I was going for like 15 minutes or something, like so cranked.
Yeah.
And like caught an edge, cutting across the wake, and just like belly flopped as if I was on a wake surf. Like I kind of just was like, oh no, I'm falling. But I was going like 40 miles an hour or whatever. Ooh. And I scorpioned. My arm was out, and I scorpioned it. That's when I was like, oh my God, I almost dislocated my shoulder.
Yuck.
And yeah, snowmobiling one time, I hit a rock and it shot my arm back up in the socket. And then a couple ski crashes where I landed switch and was saving myself with my arm. And then that's when I was like, okay, this thing is loose.
Yeah, I bet.
And then first World Cup of this last winter is it's always in Stubai in Austria. Last run of training before finals, subluxated my shoulder midair on this like bonk feature. It was like a lollipop bonk. I was doing a switch 9, so like a switch 3 nose bonk to switch 5.
Wow.
And I had to do like a little, like it wasn't very big, so I had to do like a little arm swing to like get the trick around. And that's when my shoulder subluxated. And so we get up right before final. I'm like, dude, it just like came in and out, and like that hadn't happened. I'd honestly forgotten about all the previous injuries on it because I did PT and stuff, and it was feeling strong, but I guess not. It was weak. So we taped it up, and then my first round of finals, it happened on the same feature again, even with the tape and stuff.
Yeah.
So it happened again, and then I'm coming in, there's 2 more rails. I'm like, I better make this worth it. And at least I landed it and still grabbed 3rd at that World Cup.
Wow, that's huge.
I was stoked for sure to start the season like that. And that was my only World Cup podium this last winter.
How many events?
There was, I want to say there was like 7 events, and I did like 4.
Okay, nice.
I split a few to focus on filming, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah, I had the ability to do that because it's not like Olympic trials or anything like, and it's the same thing with this next winter. Nothing from this next winter matters for Olympic qualification. So I'll have more freedom to film and stuff.
Well, good, because I think that your passion lies closer to that than the comps maybe now.
For sure.
You've been on ski trips all over the world. What was your favorite ski trip?
My favorite ski trip, huh? I mean, it's funny that I keep coming back to like just this part of the world where I live, but man, this trip we had to Jackson Hole, it was right after a month of slopestyle competitions. I had just won X Games, and then it was Corbett's. It was Kings and Queens of Corbett's.
Oh God, I was there, dude. I saw your run. Can't continue. I was there.
Yeah, I hadn't skied off piste for like a month, so I was like, all right, like this should be all right. At least we got some pow days in early season, and I dropped late. I wasn't even there for the bib draw. I had someone draw for me, and they drove like 23rd or whatever out of 25. And I was like, damn, like that sucks. But I got to watch everybody go and kind of strategize a bit. I was going to start off with a switch double 9 in. That was like my plan coming there. But then after I watched everybody fall, I was like, I better just put one down, do a switch 5, switch 540 in, and then, backflip in the middle, sub 10 at the bottom. And I was just really stoked to put a run down.
I was there, dude. The crowd was freaking out. I was freaking out because I know you. I was like, "Oh my God, goal!" That was so sick. Because the tricks that were far away, right? But the dub 10 in our face, because the crowd is right at the jump of the base. Whoa! When you landed that, and obviously that's like a safety trick for you. You landed it so easily. It was like, "Oh my God!" And every day I was like, "If that's not the winner, like I'm pissed." And I put my skis on and left. I was like, I'm not watching anymore.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And the nice thing was we had the event like at the beginning of the weather window. So then we had like the rest of the week just to either free ski or we just filmed. So we had the rooms at the Continuum right there at the bottom of Jackson. And we were just driving over to Mosquito Creek, doing some, building jumps and skiing lines, and we kept getting more snow up there.
Fun, man.
Yeah, so like we'd go and hit a jump, and then we'd wait a few days if we needed to go back and hit it, or hit a cliff and let it fill in if we needed to hit it again, kind of thing, or just skiing these same lines again. And yeah, we got into some crazy steep stuff that doesn't normally have snow on it back in Mosquito, and that's what we filmed with TGR. It was these just like really steep fluted spines. I actually sent in, I won a GoPro $1 Million challenge with one of those lines.
No way.
Yeah, they do like in the last couple of years, they've done the $1 Million challenge where you submit a video, and if you make it in the highlight video, you get an equal split of the $1 million.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's so sick.
60 people got in the video, and one of my lines got in there. I was really stoked.
Whoa, congrats. God, what didn't you win this year?
That was actually crazy because I was at this Red Bull event in Sweden, and that's when I found out that day that I had won that.
Wow.
Right before the finals of this other event, and I was like, I already fucking won. Like,
yeah.
It was crazy. I won like 18,000 from that, which was
I gotta look that up, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, I was stoked on that. And I didn't want to share it a bunch because I didn't want people seeing my line.
Right.
Because it was like one of my best lines of the season, and I want to kind of keep it for the big screen. But
yeah, good for you, man. How fun, dude.
That was terrifying, dude. That line I skied.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited.
And just trees everywhere. Like, you fall, you're leaving in a helicopter. Like, it was.
Whoa.
It was a real deal.
Heavy, man. Heavy. Well, yeah, or worse.
Yeah. Jeez. So that was one of the scariest moments I had all season. Was after Corbett's skiing in the backcountry with Kai Jones. He skied a line right before I did. And he'd been in that zone a bunch. Like, that was like his 7th time skiing those spines. And
whoa,
obviously he's approaching it with, familiarity. And I'm watching this 16-year-old kid just like drop in, no big deal on these crazy lines. And I'm up there like, like, I know I'm like capable of doing this, but it's just like the consequence of all the trees and stuff. It's like, like, this is the real deal.
Well, especially when you make money with your body, right? It's like, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know. But sometimes you got to just trust your skills, and if the feeling's there, you got to go for it.
I love it, man. So of all the trips you've been on, you love Jackson Hole. Is there anywhere you would not go back to?
I'm going to say China. I don't want to ski in China ever again.
Tell me.
It was just so cold. You know, it was minus 20 Fahrenheit, super windy.
Ooh.
Day we competed in slopestyle at the Olympics.
Whoa.
Finals. Yeah, it was brutal. Can't have any skin showing, otherwise you get frostbite in one run.
Whoa.
And just, you know, not crazy big mountains. You know, you're right next to the Gobi Desert right there.
Yeah.
So you get these crazy wind storms that come off the Gobi Desert. They drop sand on the mountain. So like the snow gets covered in like dirt. I don't know. It was, besides that, it was a pretty good trip. But being in China during the height of COVID was quite the experience for the Olympics. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone, you know.
Yeah. Oh man.
Have their showing be in a place where there's no natural snow typically.
Right.
And have it be that cold and that regulated with the COVID stuff. And yeah, they'd be like driving around the Olympic Village, like picking people up in an ambulance that tested positive and like bringing them to solitary confinement. Like,
whoa.
So yeah, we get tested every morning. They go and swab your nose. Like, it's not me, man. Like,
and then they come find you.
Yeah, and then they just kind of pick you up and take you like away for weeks or whatever.
That sounds very dystopian.
Horror story.
Yeah, well, I want to get more into that, but we have a couple more questions here. Where have you not skied, but you'd love to ski there?
The quick and easy answer is Japan.
What? You haven't been to Japan?
I've been there in the summer.
That shocks me.
I haven't skied out there in the winter.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I've always wanted to ski up in like Kamchatka or like.
Ooh, me too.
I really want to do a sailing trip up in northern Norway, like Loften.
Yeah,
that's definitely on the list for sure. Obviously, all man powered, so no snowmobiles up there, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd be up there all the time.
Yeah, I've done Svalbard a couple times, and you'd love it up there too.
Sick.
That's really beautiful. What's your favorite ski movie of all time?
I really grew up on like. I guess I could say Teddy Bear Crisis or Ski Movie 1, 2, and 3 from MSP. Definitely like grew up on that stuff, and I really loved the like intro to Ski Movie that they did.
Yes,
when they're like going through the bar, and it's like all the sponsors are like just integrated into the scene. You know, they're like it's like a full on like movie, like Hollywood movie production that they did for the intro, and then like it's so sick, dude. And Brad Holmes like rapping in his
yes, yeah. Those old MSP movies are so good.
We ran into Brad Holmes up in Alaska just this last trip. He was filming with the Jackson brothers, the snowboarders.
Oh yeah,
we got him to rap.
No, I think I saw that. I think it ended up on Instagram somewhere. I saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
And he had it. It was like the same rap from that movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so good, man. I love it. What challenges you the most intellectually on a daily basis?
I would say I'm doing a lot of like just real estate planning, financial planning, and also like my organization skills of just like my equipment. And, you know, I just have a lot of clothes and stuff like that is where I'm lacking, is like my organizational side. Trying to dial that in now that I have a lot of free time, just trying to get my house in order. I moved into a place about a year ago.
Oh, congrats.
Home, and I got all my stuff in here, but I didn't have a lot of time to like organize it completely. So I got, clean out my garage and have have a yard sale and do all that fun stuff. But yeah, lately I've just been doing a lot of thinking about, life after skiing and trying to set myself up so that I don't have to have a real job and I can, give back to the community by doing like, whether it's, training camps for the local kids or, doing public speaking. I've already been doing some of that.
Whoa, that's great.
Motivational speaking, just telling my life story and, how I came back from my accident and how I got to the Olympics and stuff like that. And also, yeah, just like real estate investment. I really want to just, have a nice portfolio of some rentals down here, whether it's in Salt Lake. And I've been thinking about getting a place up in Revi that I can use a couple months out of the winter, and I can have like stay up there. I know I got a bunch of friends that would be down to rent a spot there. imagination running rampant and trying to figure out the best way so I can just ski and surf the rest of my life.
I think that's the exact right strategy. And I do want to bug you moving forward more about your post-ski career exit. What's your favorite book or books?
The Mindful Athlete by George Mumford. I read that in 2019 as a recommendation from my friend McCrae Williams right here out of Park City as well. He's a world champion. He's had X Games medals.
Wow.
Yeah. He read it and then had the most successful season of his career right after. And basically the book just tells you a lot of things you already know about, like mindfulness, being in the moment, and how these pro basketball players, the most successful ones, are able to just completely wipe any thoughts out of their mind and just be in the moment and be in the zone. They talk a lot about the zone.
Yeah.
And you obviously too live for the zone when we're just completely immersed in whatever you're doing. And that's why I'm addicted to action sports, man. Mountain biking, surfing, golfing is a different story because you're not necessarily in the zone, but you need to find a zone. Even though you're not moving at a high rate of speed, you got to be able to just like lock in and know you got it and rid yourself of those that negative self-talk. That's a whole nother thing. Golf's helped me mentally.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I think that book, I read it, and then I had a really successful 2020. That's the first year I won X Games, and I won the next season. I won the World Cup Globe overall, which was sweet. Yeah, and it was all just because that book reminded me to just not worry about the outcome when you're going into a competition. Some people, it works for them to think about winning, but for me, that's definitely not the best way for me to approach it. I need to just focus on my run and focus on the gratefulness of being able to be in these events, in these amazing locations, and sharing that with other skiers and snowboarders. And yeah.
That's great, man. Say the name of the book one more time, please.
Yeah, it's The Mindful Athlete.
The Mindful Athlete.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to start that this week.
It's a great book.
It's easy to read
too. It's it's not a hard read at all, and it's really entertaining.
Now I got a new question that I ask a lot of people in my personal life, but I often talk about a happiness idol, because some people idle really high, they're just happy all the time. Some people are not. Where would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, where's your happiness idol?
I would say I'm super lucky because my happiness idol is pretty high. I don't know how you would even quantify that, but I'm typically in a really happy place. I mean, just to be able to do all these fun activities and share it with amazing people. I mean, I kind of preach the same thing over and over, but I mean, we're just so lucky to be enjoying this planet and have comfortable temperatures to live in and to play in, and the means to travel. I mean, my parents both worked for the airlines, for United Airlines. So all growing up, I've had flight benefits and stuff, flying standby all over the world. I pretty much traveled my whole ski career on their benefits.
That's huge.
Super crazy. And like to put
that's something I wanted to ask you about. Like, who pays for travel when, and does it change as you grow up? And
like, I've probably saved like $10,000 to $20,000 a year easily my whole career.
Wow.
Because of that. And just, some of my friends that have, never gone out of the country or, have mostly been in Utah. It's just like, it's crazy to put that in perspective. And like all that I've learned from other cultures and being immersed in that, and like meeting people on the other side of the planet that are so similar to the way I think or the way I am, that's been super eye-opening too. It's like, wow, we're really all just like of the same, it's like one blood. Like we're all, created so equal. And, even though we're from the opposite side of the world, we might have similar life story or similar understanding of, community and family and all that good stuff.
That was great, man. Well, thank you so much. That's the end of the rapid fire round. Let's get into some in-depth questions. And we got to start with the car crash in 2016. You were on the Ellen DeGeneres show. I watched all of your little bio videos before this call today. And it's just so interesting. And I think it has, you're saying that you idle at a high level. Let's just say you idle at an 8 out of 10
Yeah.
of happiness idle. So I think you maybe already had that, but I think the way that the way your mind has changed and you've leaned into gratefulness and all this is really interesting. So I guess to start, could you tell us about the car crash and how it changed your life?
Yeah, for sure. Told this story a lot. And at first I didn't like sharing it as much because I didn't want my whole life to be about the crash and how I came back from it. But
I bet.
after telling it a number of times and getting this response from all these people that have had traumatic brain injuries or just injuries in general, and how my story has helped them. I was in Mount Hood, Oregon, doing that West Coast Sessions 10 that I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And, best 2 weeks of skiing of my life. And
wow,
my buddy blew his knee and broke his tibia plateau and was looking for someone to drive him home in his truck. So I offered to drive him home. We did the drive. It was 12 hours back from Oregon to Utah. And the worst part was my dad called, like, don't drive through the night. Like, it's too long. Or like, don't drive. And I was like, yeah, like, John Michael wants to get home. Like his leg's all messed up. And I was like, yeah, we got it. So
yeah.
Anyway, I fell asleep at 12 hours. We would have been home by the time we crashed, but we missed the one turn.
No.
Just after Boise. Yeah.
Oh.
Go south. So we were north in Idaho, like right outside of the crash happened in Chubbuck, Idaho, just outside of Pocatello. Anyway, yeah, just like drifted off like for 2 seconds. When I woke up, overcorrected, rolled off the road. The roof of the car crushed my head, shattering my skull into like 30 pieces.
What?
Yeah, my whole right side of my head's like caved in and stuff.
30 pieces.
I mean, yeah, my whole right side is insane, cracked like an egg. And my neck got crunched, and I broke my eye socket, my ribs. I know I probably broke like 15 bones in one crash. And anyway, yeah, super lucky to be alive after that. Was in a coma for a few days, like medically, because my head was swelled up like twice the size that it is right now.
Whoa.
I looked like an alien. I looked like a Megaman or something.
I bet. Whoa.
And luckily, yeah, they didn't know if I was going to be brain dead or what. But when they took me out of the coma, I was still myself.
Whoa.
My parents were super excited. And,
I bet.
Yeah, it was crazy to like wake up and just be surrounded by like all my best friends and loved ones, and just be like, whoa. Because that last thing I remember was just like buying a triple shot of espresso from the gas station because I was tired. And boom, I just like woke up in a hospital essentially.
Ooh, intense.
Yeah. And then it was like, 2 months of complete hell, just painkiller to painkiller. Every 4 hours I needed one because I had a broken skull. And yep, came back from that pretty slowly, but I was not, even though I had all these like crazy vertigo issues, every time I would lay down, I would just start spinning. So I was like, how am I going to do a backflip if I can't lay down,
Whoa.
So my inner ear, the crystals in my inner ear were out of alignment. And
I had that once. It's terrible.
Yeah, not good. So I had like a bunch of ear, nose, and throat specialists that did like some variation of head turning while I was laying down, and it didn't work right away. But a couple weeks later, the vertigo stopped, which was sweet.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's like you're like wasted drunk.
And I was back on my mountain bike, I want to say 2 months later.
What?
Definitely not cleared by doctors or anything. Like that was the craziest thing through all of it. Like doctors didn't have anything to give me.
They didn't know.
Time frame. Yeah, it was all up to me and how I felt. So I basically was my own prognosis doctor and just had to figure out what was best. And the first time I skied again was 5 months after, down in New Zealand. I went down with the U.S. team, and yeah, my neck was still super messed up, and I was really weak. I lost like 30 pounds in the hospital. Those 2 weeks I was in the hospital. So I was 6 foot. I was 6'2", but I shrunk an inch because I got crushed.
No way.
Yeah, I'm 6'1", and I think I weighed in at 139 pounds at 6'1".
Damn.
I was like literally skin and bones when I got out of the hospital. Whoa. So I did as much as I could to like regain that. By the time I skied, I was probably like, I don't know, 155, 160 pounds tops. I don't know. Maybe not even. I can't remember exactly. Yeah. Anyway, first day back on skis, I did a dub 10 just to like prove myself
No.
it wasn't over. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Holy shit.
I was supposed to go down and like ease into things and stuff, and my coach was like trying to,
Ski some groomers.
he obviously didn't want to stop me, but he wanted to like make sure I didn't get hurt again.
Right.
I mean, who's going to stop me when I'm in the middle of a run?
I mean, how did that feel to land that trick?
Dude, that was when I knew that it wasn't over. Like, I'm pretty sure I cried after that because I was like, no way. Like, I'm actually going to be able to come back from this.
Whoa.
It's been 5 months of thinking that my life was over, and sometimes wishing I had died in the crash to like,
oh my gosh,
maybe I would have had a bigger legacy if I had died in, you know what I mean? Like help people out, or like they could have learned from bad decisions I'd made, or like, I don't know. It's crazy what I was thinking.
No, when you're depressed, those are the kind of thoughts you have.
For sure. And yeah, so I got some tricks back, and you know, I obviously wasn't at the same level I was at prior to the crash, but I was pretty close. You know, I still had the muscle memory and stuff. So
that's amazing.
Even though I was weaker, I was still able to like power through some of that. And,
I mean, that must have been the best dub 10 of your life.
It was, for sure. It was better than the first one I ever did too.
I bet.
But yeah, and then to carry on with the story, 8 months later was the first World Cup I did. It was in Italy in the Dolomites, Alm. And I went into that event just like no expectations. My dad came with. It was super special. We stayed at this amazing hotel with, you know, 5-course meal or whatever every night. We were just living the high life. But anyway, just went in with no expectations. And, you know, that was the difference. Was before the accident, I always had these expectations because I knew I had the skills to win, and I wanted to win so bad so that I could make money and pay for my travel and stuff so my parents didn't have to pay. And this time it was more just like, dude, I can't believe I'm even at this event right now. Like, so crazy that I'm experiencing this and just seeing the world from a different lens. And I dropped in and I ended up winning that World Cup.
That's insane. 8 months after that accident.
8 months after, yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Definitely not 100% healed either. Was still healing. But yeah, just that change in mindset. And before I dropped in for that run, I closed my eyes and thought about like my loved ones. Like I thought like of the face of my, you know, family, friends, like my girlfriend at the time. I thought of my cat at the time, and I dropped in and I just was like full of love, and it's like, had some music going and just laced up.
That's incredible, man. So that's the part that I am drawn to the most. I love that, you know, that inclusivity, the gratefulness, the love. Mm-hmm. And I've even heard you talked about like you maybe felt like you had some real ego death. And so talk to me a little bit more about those feelings that you've experienced since then and how it's helped you.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I guess growing up in Park City and having, you know, all these amazing things at my fingertips, I didn't really have a grasp of how lucky I was. And then after the accident, just like every little thing that I got back to doing, I was just like, oh my God, like the first time I rode my bike, even just around the block, I was, this is sick. Like bikes are insane. I love bikes. And then it was like, I'd watch the sunset and be like, holy crap. Like I was living on bonus time. I realized that I could have had it all taken away so easily, and how grateful I was to be experiencing just these little things. And then taking that into skiing and taking that into like my friends and family. And like, I was no longer looking at the world as if it was like mine to conquer. It was more just like experiencing it as like taking it all in, you know?
Yeah. It's like, I get to be here.
Yeah. I get to be here. I get to have a piece of this, you know? And yeah, man, it's like, when I found that gratefulness in the little things, like just, you know, a hot shower being the highlight of my day. I love to go back to that because I would think I'd go in the hot shower and I'd be like, oh, I felt so good on my neck. I was just in so much pain. And I thought about all the people that never got to experience a hot shower. Oh my God. Like imagine that, dude. Like, I'm so lucky to have these, you know, daily things for us, but like, just, you know, so lucky to have these little things. And I just kind of had that mentality and everything.
I appreciate that. That's something I blurt out all the time when I'm skiing, just on a chairlift with your friends. Like we are the luckiest people in the world.
Straight up.
We have got to drink this in. Like we're like, it's like last week, like I'm at Mammoth on chair 23. It's July and the skiing is sick. You're just like, what? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Yeah. Riding chairlifts and skiing corn and California on a volcano. Like
exactly. It just doesn't make sense. and just going back one step, how many surgeries did you have?
For that specific injury, I only had 2 surgeries. Which
gosh.
Yeah. So I had the one right after the accident where they like pieced back together my head. That was like a 8-hour surgery.
Mm-hmm. I bet. Wow. 8 hours.
Yeah. Like a puzzle piece, they just like put it back. And I have titanium snowflakes in here, which I love to say. Like, they're this big. They look like disc brakes on a bike or like a snowflake. And I've got like a bunch of those up in here. And when he said that to me, I was like, no way, I got snowflakes in my skull.
Yeah, that's great.
Totally meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was before I knew. This is like one of the first meetings I had after surgery with this doctor. And I'm like, so when can I ski again? Like he's looking at me like I'm a walking miracle because he was piecing my skull back together. He didn't even know if I was going to be alive.
I mean, imagine what his experience was like with you, right? Like,
right. And he's like sitting there, no way. Like normally these meetings are like 10 minutes. He sits in there with us for like 30 minutes. I'm just like, when can I ski again? He's like, well, when your skull heals, like it should heal a lot stronger. So I don't see why you can't get back to skiing. And I was like, no way.
And I've heard you say that you were in like the 1% of people that had an injury like this that didn't have brain damage. And maybe it was because your skull was so shattered, your brain had room to swell.
Right. That's my philosophy on it anyway, is like, that my skull was so crushed that it was able to relieve the pressure of my brain swelling. And that's why my head swelled so big, it's because it was full of blood. And most people that have a skull fracture that severe have permanent brain damage. And so I'm insanely lucky to say that I don't have brain damage. I mean, I've got definitely some disabilities from the accident that I've kind of ignored.
Like what?
Just like the fact that I have trouble, like some simple decision making. And, after the accident for like a year, it was like, I couldn't make simple decisions at all.
Interesting.
My mom would be like, oh, like, she took work off after my injury to like cook for me and stuff. And she's like, oh, do you want this or this to eat for dinner? And I'd be like, no idea. Like I just couldn't make decisions. I don't know. Wow. Yeah. That, and then just some memory stuff. I definitely have some memory issues. I'll tell the same story a week later to the same person or something. I'm like, damn it.
And of course you're saying that with a smile. Like these are just inconsequential side effects.
I mean,
considering where you were.
It's my life. It's what I have to live with. And it's nice to know, like I sometimes forget about the crash because I just put it behind me. But there's definitely those lingering things that I have to remember about the crash because I'm like, otherwise I'm going to think I'm just dumb. But
yeah, it's good to remember that. Yeah, things have changed.
Yeah, like little things like that. But nothing crazy.
Definitely not. When we skied in Alaska, I didn't really know your story. And now that I've learned more about you, next time I see you, I want to like touch your head. Is your head shaped differently or can you feel metal? Or is like, because it's your head, right? So like you can touch your head right now and go like, it didn't used to be shaped this way. Like,
dude, like this whole section's like flat. Like
he's touching his right side of his head.
Yeah, right side of my head. Like there's like a crater up here. If you imagine like half of a ping pong ball like going in.
Really?
Yeah. When it's crazy. Like it just drops off.
And it still feels that way right now.
Yeah, dude.
Whoa. All right. I want to feel your head next time I see you.
You definitely can.
I'll let you feel mine. I broke my eye socket, which you did also. And you can really feel it because I didn't get surgery. Yeah. But I definitely want to feel your head. That's so cool.
You didn't need surgery, you said?
No, I didn't need it. It didn't go far enough in to trap my eye muscle. But if the bone, so right under my right eye is where you can really feel it. But if the bone didn't touch my eye muscle, but if it does, you get double vision, right? Because the eye doesn't work right. So yours got surgically repaired, I bet. So it's dead on. And mine too. If I lick my upper lip, I can feel it like it's under my eye. It's like because I broke through like there's a nerve that goes right through your face through that kind of zygomatic crest right here. And so it messed up the nerve. So I have some weird, so you probably have some weird things like that too, but it's scary to break your face.
Yeah.
But that's so crazy, man. Yeah. I can't wait to touch your head. That's crazy.
Yeah. You're going to love it.
But let's jump into the Olympics, man. So in 2022, right? You went to China and you told me that you got a silver medal in the big air, which is amazing because you said it was a pretty trying experience. So let's just start with the skiing. So what trick did you win with?
There's 2 tricks in the big air, and you get 3 jumps to land 2 different tricks.
Got it.
So basically, one is a throwaway jump if you land them all. But I learned a trick in that final. I did a nose butter triple cork 1620.
Time out. You learned a trick while you were there.
I learned a trick in the final. Like
what?
In the final was the first time I tried it because I knew it was a trick I could do, but it was almost too risky to try it in the training because I was scared of getting injured before the final. But I knew that I had like a 95% chance of landing it. But that 5%, if I didn't land it right, I was going to like leave an ambulance essentially.
Oh my, it's a scary trick. I mean, I don't know what it's called, but say the name again. I watched it live.
Nose butter, triple cork, 1620.
Okay. So 3 flips and a lot of spins.
3 flips. But the nose butter part is you're doing a 180 before you even go off the jump and you're bouncing off the tips of your skis, off your noses. Whoa. So you're doing 180 and you're pressing in your noses and releasing off the tips. And then that's initiating you into the triple cork.
Whoa.
So you have all that risk of like catching an edge as you're doing the 180 prior to taking off, which, has happened to me before. I've caught doing nose butter double cork. I've caught a little bit and like saved it still. Whoa. But yeah, you can catch and it can like throw you into a forward rotation or you can lose a ski. So it's really precise how you have to do that takeoff. And that's why only a few people are doing those tricks. Henrik Harlow made that trick famous in 2013 at the X Games.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Tanner Hall was like, you got to do the nose butter triple. I don't know if you've seen the whole video. It's like Tanner like motivating Henrik to do the nose butter triple cork for the first time and really just convinces him to do it. And then he does it and wins X Games. And
wow.
No one did that trick again for many years. And it was pretty cool to be doing that at the Olympics. And Henrik also was at the Olympics. He got 3rd with the nose butter triple cork as well.
Whoa.
It's crazy.
That's nuts, dude.
So I didn't land it on my first try. I over rotated slightly, but then I was like, oh, okay, I got that. Like I had 2 more jumps and I had to land both of them perfect if I wanted to do well.
Right.
I went up, got the nose butter triple cork, stomped it perfect. And I was like, no, this is crazy. Like, I don't want to jump. Like, and at this point, like, I pretty much knew I was shooting for like a top 5 because everyone that was there is so talented in big air, and I didn't have the biggest tricks. Like I've never been a big air skier. Like I've never.
You're more slope style, right?
More of a slope style guy, yeah. Like I've never podiumed in a big air or anything, just because I didn't have those like one hit wonder tricks. And yeah, I landed that, and so I'm going up to the top for my last jump, and I'm like thinking, am I going to do the switch double 1980 that I did at X Games like a few weeks before? I didn't get the grab at X Games, but I knew I could do that trick. And I was like, oh, I think I need that. Like, if all these other guys land it, I'm going to need that to even get a podium.
So you're watching what other people are doing and gauging what you.
I knew what they were doing. Okay. But a lot of us, it came down to that 3rd jump. So a lot of guys fell on their first jump, on their 2nd jump. So they had 1 score, and a lot of them, there was like, I want to say there was like 5 guys that had a higher first trick score than me going into the 3rd round. So I was like, if these guys land their jumps, like, but there's another part of you that doesn't want to worry about that too much because you really just want to do what you can do and
stay in your zone,
your trick as best you can. And right before I went, my coach Skogan was like, dude, you should just do do your switch 1800. So that's a switch double cork 1800. That's switch cork 900 to a cork 900.
Whoa.
And
that doesn't make sense.
And I learned that trick that year.
Whoa.
And then I learned the 19 that year too, like by accident. Actually, I did a 1980. Got like lost, just spinning in a vortex and just like landed at 19. Yeah, it was crazy.
And I'm not doing my math right. A 1980 is how many spins?
A 1980 is 5.5.
Jesus. All right, continue.
Yeah. So
ridiculous.
I did the 5 full rotations, switched double 18, grabbed it the whole time, landed it really clean. And boom, there I go up into 2nd place. I'm like, no way. This is insane. And then I go and watch. I didn't expect to stay in 2nd, but I watched like 4 of my friends, Evan McEachran from Canada, Alex Hall tried to switch double 2160 that he won X Games with it like 2 weeks before that, X Games Big Air. He like landed on his feet and tipped over, like barely didn't land it.
And these are your buddies, so you kind of know what they're going to do, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, I knew that he had.
So you know what you need to do.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there like I want them to do well, but I'm also like I'm up pretty high. Like,
yeah.
It's tough when you're cheering for your buddies, but you also want to do well. And you're like,
it's gotta be tough.
I hope they land it, or I hope they don't get hurt. That's pretty much what you're thinking.
Right, of course.
Yeah, and I just stayed up there, and it was just like, no way did I just medal in freaking Big Air. And going with that momentum into slopestyle, I was fueled. I was like, my plan all along was to win slopestyle, and going back to my mindset that I was telling you about, like mindfulness and stuff. And I think I just ultimately wanted to win so bad that's what kind of kept me from doing well in slopestyle. I changed my run the morning of the final.
Ooh, is that a no-no for you usually? I
mean, like, I definitely should have just stuck to my guns, because that ultimately led to me not landing my run. I switched my rail line to the rails I hadn't been hitting all week during the trainings, because they did a pretty interesting thing. They released all the section by section scores from the qualifier of slopestyle. They released those scores after, which they'd never done at any of the World Cups. So then we got to look at each feature and how it was scored out of 10.
Which is pretty cool, right?
Which is cool, but it wasn't cool because then we saw, that guy did the trick on that rail and scored a 9, even though that's an easy trick. Like, I should go hit that feature instead, because my over here, which was hard, only scored a 7,
Mm-hmm.
So then you're strategizing based off of other people's scores, which is totally not slopestyle at all.
Get your head more wrapped up and
get your head wrapped up, and then you're not doing the trick, like the run that you had planned for yourself. And so, after medaling in Big Air, I mean, obviously it was a whirlwind,
of course,
and so felt so grateful, and like it was cool because I went in that event like not trying to win. I was like, I'm just gonna go try and land these tricks and just go have fun, and that's the mentality I need to take into every event. But crazy thing is, I went to all these interviews after winning that medal up until like midnight that night. We had slopestyle training the next day, 4 hours away at the other village. So I didn't get on a bus until like 1 a.m.
No.
I couldn't sleep. I was all jacked up on adrenaline.
Of course.
And then I had training at 9 a.m. And first day of slopestyle training, complete throwaway for me. I couldn't ski. I was tired. I mean, whoever planned that schedule was not thinking about the athletes at all.
No, there should be a whole day of just downtime.
Yeah. Anyway, the slopestyle course was sick. Schnurstern Builders built an amazing course, especially considering it's all man-made snow, and they had that like China wall going down the side of the course made out of snow.
Super cool.
Huge rail features, super long rails. Like, it was the biggest rail setup that we've had ever.
And that's fun for you.
It was cool. Yeah, it was awesome. And there was so many different ways to hit it. We had a really good time, besides the cold weather. Slopestyle was going really well. It was amazing.
How fun.
Then, a couple more American. Alex Hall took the win with a super cool run, really creative. I was really happy for him. And it was really good for the sport too, because he wasn't doing like the standard tricks that a lot of people do at events. He was doing these creative like taps on the rails, and did like a knuckle bounce. So he did like a switch cork 7 and then bounced off the knuckle into like a switch 5. And that was one of his jump tricks. Instead of doing on that jump, I did a switch double 18. And he instead did like a switch cork 7 to a switch cork 5, which is essentially a switch dub 12, but it's creative. Not a lot of people are doing that. So he was rewarded, equally as much for that trick as I was maybe for the switch dub 18.
Wow, that's cool. And what's it like? What's the impact like when you do a trick like that? Because it seems like these are huge jumps and you're purposefully hitting a knuckle.
Yeah, I mean, that jump was built specifically perfectly for that, because the knuckle was above the lip.
Oh, it's a step up. Okay.
The step over, step up. And so he was able to kind of like touch down with a bit of impact, but not bad, and bounce out of it.
Wow.
Historically, the jumps in slopestyle are not big enough for the tricks we're doing. So we have to
Oh.
go far past the sweet spot of the landing to do these bigger rotations.
And you're taking a bigger impact.
And it's a lot of impact.
Yeah.
That's why I tend to land backwards a lot, because I'm able to absorb the impact better. It's safer with the knees.
Interesting.
Into the forward of your boot, like into the front of your boots.
Huh.
If you land forward and deep on like far down the landing and back seat, like that's super dangerous for your knees and everything. Yeah. Obviously, it strains a lot. If you land backwards, then you can kind of take the impact into your boots and compress your whole body more. And yeah, I've had a lot of success and safety with my knees because I started landing switch a lot. I had patella tendonitis in both my knees.
Wow, man. And so one thing I was curious about, because whenever I see you at the bottom of your run and you've done well, you take your helmet off and talk to the media, you always seem to have earbuds in. You're listening to music. Do you always listen to music? And what do you listen to? And how does music help you?
Yeah. I've had a lot of success listening to music just because it helps me stay in the zone and kind of block out that inner self-talk or at all, just kind of hone in. Listen to a lot of like old school hip hop.
But give me a band.
Give me a band. I've listened to a lot Nas. I've had a lot of success with Nas in my ears. Wu-Tang Clan.
I love Wu-Tang, yeah.
And I mean, it goes a lot deeper than that. But yeah, I've tried a few events without, and I've had more success with music just because I can feel like the frequency of that music kind of flowing through my body and aligning with, the flow and the tricks. I'd say the frequency of slopestyle skiing and hip hop music kind of aligns.
Ooh.
So it kind of like, I just get on this wave. I mean, that sounds so ridiculous, but it's true. It's like, it works for me. And if I have a song that kind of gives me the chills, that's the one I know I could really ski well too. It's like, it's touching me on a spiritual level, maybe.
No, I love that. I don't think it sounds crazy. I think a lot of people do the same thing.
Yeah.
All my favorite basketball players have huge headphones on when they're warming up for a game. It's I think even tennis players, like a lot of people are using music to either get themselves in the zone or, skiing and snowboarding are one of the few sports you can actually listen to it while you're
right.
Which is, and if that's an advantage, why are you not taking that advantage?
Yeah, and I've had times where I was kind of relying too much on the music, like, I didn't land my run. It was like that was the wrong song or something.
Oh, I've been there, yeah.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, holding, I was attaching too much of my skiing to that song, and I don't know. I think that was unhealthy. So then I stopped worrying so much about like what song was playing. I kind of just leave it on shuffle and just let shuffle decide, and just kind of use it as more of something to calm me down rather than like something I need,
I was just going to say, when I ski to music, I just try to find stuff that relaxes me.
Yeah.
And like takes away a little bit of the fear and that seems to really help. Do you ever use it when you're skiing big lines?
I would like to, but now it's more, you want to listen to the mountain and stuff. But yeah, I'll have like my phone playing in my pocket.
Oh, nice.
Like right before I drop in, just get that hype going. Yeah. That's what you need the most, really, is like right before you drop into a big line, you're scared for your life. You're thinking about, the places you don't want to be if there's slough, the places you don't want to catch an edge. Like before I ski a line, I'm visualizing how I want to ski it like 10 times at least before I ride it, and kind of placing my turns exactly where I would want them to be. And, maybe it's not going to go that way when I actually go to ski it, but at least I set myself up for like those landmarks that you want to hit and those pinpoints of where exactly you do or don't want to be.
Well, let's flow right into free skiing, because that's something that really blew my mind with you. I'd like to talk more about what your experience was like in China, but you already said, it was so dystopian that you don't really need to go back there. So we'll just keep going with the positive, because I met you in Alaska, heli skiing in Valdez, and I was blown away that you were just crushing the big mountain. In my mind, you're like, oh, this is like a park skier guy. Mm-hmm. But you're not. You're an all skier person, and it was just so fun to ski with you. And you really skied well. You got some amazing shots, And the blunt question is, why are you so good at big mountain skiing?
I don't know. I got a lot to learn for sure. Anytime it was a POW day, I was out there skiing. I wasn't always a park rat. Growing up in Utah, it snowed a ton when I was a kid, and I was on Armada from when I was 8 until I was 16. And
Nice.
I remember when I was really young, I was like, I'd always been hounding them, like, you guys got to make a JJ that's small enough for me to ride. And they
Because that was a really popular powder ski.
They made a 165 JJ when I was probably like 14 or something. I finally had a POW ski that I think I'd tried an Icelandic, because they made short skis for adults, and I was on one. And I'm like, this is sick, like wider ski. Shane McConkey freaking had the spatulas, and the JJ Armada JJ was just like so much rocker, like so much reverse camber. And I remember just bouncing around off like pillows and like jumping cliffs, and I was like, holy crap, this is what I want to be doing at any time I can. Then getting on K2 and them having amazing POW skis, and just obviously watching ski movies all growing up. It's like, I don't just want to ski park. I want to be out there. I want to be building jumps. I want to be hitting these huge gaps. I want to be skiing these big lines. Like, it is funny though, like when you watch videos of people skiing in Alaska, you can never realize how crazy it is what they're doing until you go out there and experience it yourself. And
so scary.
I don't know. It was my first time in Alaska when we were together, and I remember just being so timid. And like, I knew I was a great skier, but I was just like, this is so much bigger than anything I've ever skied, and so much steeper.
Yeah.
It was a great intro trip, I will say. And we did get into some gnar that one day.
I saw your videos, man.
Yeah, this was the trip you and I were there. It was really eye-opening and really humbling, and so cool to get up there again this year and really step to some bigger shit.
How did you end up with Matchstick?
Yeah, they hit me up like a week before the trip, and I had just came back from doing some filming, and I'd been trying to get up there, trying to coordinate with Sammy to get up there and shoot something with him. Possibly was going to be in his project and use some of the footage for my project, and then that fell through, and boom, this Matchstick opportunity came up. 10 days in Haynes, Kate Zelliff and Hedvig Wessel and Sammy and myself were the skiers.
Nice. That's a squad.
Yeah, it was lit. And then Dustin Lindgren and Scott Gaffney as filmers.
Wow.
And yeah, so amazing. Yeah, and we had this awesome drone pilot, Luke Bredar, Luca Bees on Instagram. He's been doing this crazy FPV stuff with a bunch of, he's done it with the Bunch, the Scandinavian film crew. And then this trip, just doing some really high quality FPV shots. Not those ones that'll like give you a headache because they're doing like circles around, just like those really close shots that no one else can get on these spines and stuff. And going on that trip was a dream come true. We lucked out with conditions. We ended up extending our trip a little bit. And in the 2 weeks we were there, we got 6 days out.
That's amazing. Haynes has the worst weather.
Yep. There were crews that had been there for like a month before us, just kind of like waiting around, getting like maybe, a few days in a month or whatever. But we totally scored and got to hit some of the classics. We skied Light Meter, we skied Sexy Spines, Tomahawk, Birthday Bowl. Like, we got all these classics like in primo conditions. It was
Tell me about Tomahawk, because Scott Gaffney made a big deal about that on Instagram. So, because that's a gnarly line, and you guys are throwing like 60-foot 360s. It looked like. I can't tell. You tell me what happened.
Yeah. Tomahawk was nuts. That was like our second to last day. We got up there and it had refilled. There was tracks on it from some other crews like 5 days before or whatever. And it obviously got filled in. So we got to it and it was like, I want to say it was like 8 a.m. I got dropped off on the very peak of it. I was skiing the most prominent spine on it. And I was obviously shitting bricks, but really excited. Sammy, I was like, Sammy, like, do you want that? Or like, there was another.
This is Sammy Carlson.
Sammy Carlson, yeah. he was like, yeah, dude, you got that main one. I'll take this one over here. And I was really grateful that he gave that one to me. And, we were kind of trading off the whole trip. Like, it was funny. We'd look at something and we both kind of see a similar line through it. And, one day he'd give it to me, or one day I'd obviously be like, yeah, Sammy, like, that's you, bro. Slay that. But got to ski the most prominent line of Tomahawk and was planning on doing a cork 7 out the bottom on this lip. And I didn't hit it exactly where I wanted to. But yeah, I mean, the exposure just on the most prominent spine, like, you fall to the left, you die. Like,
it's a cliff. Yeah.
100-foot cliff over there.
Yeah.
And the shots turned out insane. I actually just watched the first rough cut
Ooh.
from MSP. Yeah, it's nuts, dude. Like, the drone shots and everything, like the scale of what we were riding, it's just like unimaginable. And so then I got to go up for another run, and I saw this spine hit. Scott posted me doing a flat 3 off this spine, and it was psycho. I mean, I knew I was either going to land this or Tomahawk halfway down Tomahawk.
Oh God.
And guess what? I Tomahawked.
Oh, no way. Oh, I thought you were going to say the exact opposite.
No, I Tomahawked. I wanted to go more backflip because the way the spine transfer was set up, it was going to, like, if I did it too flat, if I did the rodeo like around the side too much, I was going to come in, a little over rotated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. I should have just done a backflip, and I would have landed. I mean, I got the transition matched perfectly. I gapped like probably 40 or 50 feet,
jeez,
like down and across over the spine. And then I tomahawked like 10 times. It was really violent. Lost the pole, hurt my shoulder. My shoulder was killing me, and my neck, I just like crunched my neck. Yeah, and then I just like straight lined out the gut so that I could go up another run, and I was going to do the backy again, but I didn't have the speed, so I just aired the first transfer, and then I got the cork 7 out the bottom. I was really stoked.
Nice.
Blunt, yeah. So was stoked. I mean, I wanted to do more tricks up in Alaska, but man, trying to take my park background up to there, and like, you only get one run usually on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not as cool to have tracks in the line you ski.
No, yeah, it's got to be fresh.
In one shot, and it's like you might not have skied for a few days because you're waiting around for the conditions to line up, and then boom, you're out there. It's like first run of the day. You're like, all right, I'm going to try and do a cork, do whatever. I wanted to. Yeah, I got big dreams coming in for next year too. I got some ideas and some spots I want to hit, and it's like, man, it's addicting.
Well, I'm really excited to see that footage that you're talking about already, and I'm really excited to see what you do in the future, man. Because just even being with you on your first trip, it's like, all right, yeah, he's got this. And yeah, to see you now, evolving, pushing big tricks into it is really exciting.
And it's crazy to ski some lines where it's like, I was way more scared skiing those lines than I was like dropping in for my, X Games run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
like, it's the unknown. It's
like, tell me why.
Just because you've never skied something so steep in your life. There's, slough management, which comes with that steep terrain. You got to do a few turns and then move out of the way of your slough. Otherwise, it's going to sweep you off your feet and take you off the cliff bank.
Mm-hmm.
You've got cliffs all around you. You got, you're working with variable snow conditions, because there's no way to actually test the snow on that face. I mean, you're testing a snow aspect. That's why we have the guides. They test it like the aspect similar as they can find, and they dig a pit and check the layers out. But yeah, my first big line this trip on light meter, it was a huge line, and all the snow underneath my feet started breaking away. And luckily I was on the high point of the spine, but yeah, a massive avalanche triggered. I triggered a massive avalanche right under my feet, and I stopped on the high point of the spine, and it all just went next to me, and slough, cloud 100 feet high just went below me. I was like, damn, like really feeling the power of those mountains. And it's just like a lot of unknown, man. And it's a lot of thinking as you go. You can draw it up exactly how you want it to be, and it's never going to be exactly like that.
No,
it's an ever changing mountain, and you're at the mercy of Mother Nature, and it's crazy.
The most scared I am every season is on Alaska. It's just, it's so much more than, like you say, in the videos. And I'm not even skiing scary stuff like you guys are. Like, I'm skiing stuff that's much more moderate, and it's still that way. When you're standing on top of something and you realize, all right, it's 45 degrees, the snow's great, but if I fall, I'm going to fall all the way to the bottom. And there's no question about that. And it's yeah, I don't know, it's heavy. There's a lot to it. And the slough management, like you said, I'm almost more scared of that than anything else, because you have to make a lot of decisions. Like, am I going to go faster than it, or am I going to go slower than it? Am I going to go left of it? Am I going to go right of it? And then sometimes you have to make those decisions on the fly, and you don't know if you made the right decision. Right. And so it's terrifying. It can be terrifying.
Luckily, on the smallest line we skied, I actually had a really scary situation where I skied into my slough and got swept down a little chute.
Scary,
and it was rocks. I thought I was just going to like hit my back on some rocks, but luckily I kept my feet under me and kind of was like, sliding on my back with my feet below me, and I actually skied out of it. But yeah, I got swept right over these rocks, and man, it was terrifying and totally humbling. And it was in the middle of the trip. Like, I'd already skied some gnar lines. I was feeling confident, and I just, made a turn on this sunny aspect that kind of funneled into this little chute. And instead of staying to the right of the chute, I went to the left of it and then tried to cross the chute. And my, first turn up top that was in the sunny, slushy crap, there was a wave of slough like 3 feet high. And I knew it was coming. I tried to jump over the little chute, and it still just clipped my edges and just took me with it. It was crazy. Like, I tried to man.
It's like when we were together, I don't know if I hopped over a little tiny slough. Yeah. But it only works when it's small, right?
Yeah. And when it's small and if it's light enough snow, you can kind of manage with it. But yeah, this had been like baking in the sun. It was like mashed potatoes, just took me out. Swept me down these rocks. It was terrifying, dude.
So what's more terrifying, skiing in Alaska or going on to the Ellen DeGeneres show?
Oh, it was going on Ellen for sure.
So tell me that, because I would be so nervous.
Public speaking and stuff is always like really nerve-wracking, but knowing that I was going to go on Ellen and what I said was probably going to be posted, I was I don't want to look like an idiot out there. And
I just watched it.
I just want to sound good. Like I had like 20 things I wanted to touch on, and I probably touched on like 5 to 10 of them.
It was bang bang. I watched it. It was like boom, boom, boom.
And
network TV.
Luckily, she was like super, super nice and made it really easy to talk to. But man, that thing went by so quick. It felt like a minute-long interview. It was like 5 minutes, I think, and it's over. But no, I was just sitting in the waiting room for like 3 hours before the show.
Whoa!
Just in one room, dude.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, just on ice, just waiting. Like, oh my god, like practicing what I was gonna say. And no, really cool opportunity though, and cool to go on before the Olympics and share a bit about my story and get a free skiing in a spotlight a bit more for a lot of people that don't know what we do.
No, but it must have been nerve-wracking, man.
Hopefully some of those people that were on Ellen actually watched the Olympics. I definitely got a lot of messages saying about how motivating it was to see someone go through that bad of an accident and come back.
Really cool. And I watched your interview with Kate Snow on NBC too, man. You did great. So we touched on after competition before, but I want to dig into that a little bit more here. So eventually you're not going to do competitive park skiing anymore. And so I have a ton of questions on this, but we'll kind of start it open. Like, how long do you think you'll be able to compete at this level?
Yeah, I mean, every year there's the progression grows. Like every year, the run that won X Games last year will probably get like 5th next year. So it's like,
whoa, it's that
dramatic. Not exactly like that, but that's how fast our sport is growing and how fast the progression is with these airbag training facilities and stuff. So, for example, me just out with this shoulder for the summer, I'm missing like an airbag camp, a camp to New Zealand. This is when you go and learn the new tricks for the next season. So I'm going to be a little behind the power curve, and hoping that just my visualization and and stuff, I can learn some tricks in my mind and bring them, out when I need to. I think I definitely have another Olympics in me. So 3 more years. That's what I'm shooting for. I have the most fun out in the backcountry with my buddies on my snowmobile, filming POW, like doing stuff on our schedule. No one else out there. We're pushing the boundaries of the sport by doing what we're doing. Bringing these tricks that learn in the park to the backcountry and hitting these crazy lines and stuff. And it just feels, that's definitely my calling, and
Nice.
I'm really grateful that I've had the success I've had in slopestyle, because it's going to allow me to pursue my true passion of backcountry skiing for the next, 10, 20 years.
And when you say backcountry skiing, tell me what that means to you right now.
Yeah, backcountry skiing to me is obviously away from the resort, and whether it's accessed by snowmobile or you have to, manpower access by touring or in a helicopter, it's like an open canvas. You're just picking a line that you want to ride and how you want to ride it. And it's just so much more than anything else to me. It's like,
well, I love that because I imagine you guys going out and building jumps, but you're also, or maybe more than building jumps, hitting lines.
Yeah. I mean, shit, I can build jumps all day, but riding a line with natural features that has a jump on it, maybe I can do a dub 10 off a natural hit in the middle of a line. Like imagine that.
That'd be insane.
Like that's the kind of stuff I want to be doing, and like spinning both ways. I want to be able to do like both way cork 7s down like a face that has no features built on it. Like that's the kind of shit I want to be doing.
So after competition, what else? You have, I mean, I love the idea that you want to get more into the backcountry and create these, hopefully films.
Yeah.
And what else?
This year is really going to help me too, because we filmed a lot and we created something really special. And I just can't wait to premiere it. And
nice,
I'll be
me too.
I'll be going to MSP, the TGR, and obviously the Good Company premieres.
Wow.
That's crazy. I can't believe I'm in all those.
That's so fun.
And that all just like happened out of nowhere. Like I had no planning with TGR MSP. Like it just like unfolded like that. And I'm really grateful that I was offered those opportunities. And, going forward, I'd love to be a part of those film production companies. They've been making amazing movies for a long time. And, but yeah, going forward, man, I just want to enjoy life. And I want to, the older I get, the more I realize that I can't keep hucking my life away forever. It's
it's hard on the body. I mean, you're sitting here in an arm sling right now.
Yeah. I'm 10 days out of shoulder surgery. It's been a pain for sure. I didn't take any narcotics. I've just been dealing with that, but injuries are just part of it, man. I just break it down and build it up and break it down and build it up. Like, I had all this success this season, and what people don't know is all the injuries I was dealing with the entire time. Like I was not healthy. Shoulder in November, that's when I realized I had to get surgery, so I had to wear the brace. And then come December, we were out in Jackson filming, and stacked some of my banger shots in December 7th. And then later that day, we went to go like hit this cliff. And I was like, I'd already said I was done for the day because I'd hit this other jump like 20 times and ate shit on it. And I was so beat. But we went back and the light was good. And it was like 4 foot of snow and then the dirt. So it was it was thin, but enough to be hitting this cliff. And I was trying to dub 10 off this cliff. And I created a pretty big bomb hole. And I was like, I'll give it one more go. I'll just go a little slower and try to land in that fresh POW above my bomb hole. Right. And that's exactly what I did. I landed in the fresh POW, and then I front flipped into my bomb hole, straight to the dirt. My head went straight to dirt, and I scorpioned over my neck and my back. So my neck went all the way back, and my spine like compressed L3. And there, I thought I broke my neck and my back. I just laid there for like 30 seconds, like, oh my God, like, no, because everything kind of went numb.
Yeah, you get that like that jolt.
Yeah, and then I was able to get up, and I was like, damn, that was really bad. And like, I was honestly too scared to go get an X-ray because I think I fractured my lower back. And I felt it the whole season. It was crazy. Like I couldn't like arch my back the whole season. But if I was forward, as long as I kept my back in a neutral position or forward, it didn't hurt it. But as soon as I was back, like I couldn't foam roll for months over
That's
part of my
terrible.
spine, dude. I know, isn't that psycho?
Jesus.
But I went back 3 days later and got the clip. So.
No, you're nuts, dude. Wow. What's your normal routine like? How do you stay limber?
Well, I get a massage when I'm really sore. So it's not like a regular one, but yeah, when I'm like really just like, cranked my neck and stuff. But we have a PT that travels with us to competitions, and he Theragun or Hypervolt, my neck, my back, my legs, literally I just do everything with the vibration of the Hypervolt.
Nice.
It just loosens me up, and what would take probably an hour and a half to do with your hands, we can do in like 20 or 30 minutes with the massage gun.
That's great.
That's kind of my secret for sure, is a massage gun. And in the summers, I just bike a ton. And before events, I spin bike that morning, get the knees warmed up. And that's been my secret with the knees for sure, is a lot of biking and a lot of yoga, a lot of hot yoga.
Oh, good. Nice. Yeah. Stretching in the Theragun is huge for me.
Yeah.
Huge, man. Nice. Well, I wanted to touch on one of the last things here is just Park City and the Wasatch Mountains, man. So you kind of already mentioned some stuff, but how do you feel about the Wasatch Mountains of Utah?
The Wasatch Mountains, man, they're pretty amazing. I mean, to have such a cool mountain range straight off the valley floor of Salt Lake, of the Great Salt Lake, it's quite amazing. And we get that lake effect, when the storm comes in, it draws moisture off the lake, off Utah Lake down there, and then just dumps extra snow right on the front, right on the Wasatch front. So that's Snowbird, Alta, Solitude, Brighton. That's why they get a little more snow than we do in Park City, because a lot of the moisture drops there, and then we get kind of the leftovers of that as the storm moves in. But it's amazing, man. We have a lot of cool backcountry access on snowmobiles, and it's like a mini Alps. The Cottonwood Canyons, like you look at them, and it is like a smaller version of the Alps right here, right next to Salt Lake, like 20 minutes from a city populated of like 3 million, I want to say.
That's crazy.
And the airport's right there. Like there's nowhere else in the world you can fly in and 30 minutes be in amazing mountains with amazing snow that I know of. But yeah, I love it here, man. It's one thing to grow up here for sure. And, but it's a whole nother thing to have this, like, now that I've traveled the world and I have this appreciation for home like none other. And I know we have some of the best snow in the world because I've sampled snow all over. The only time you get snow as light as we do here is when it's super cold in other places. So there's that trade-off, it's like I could go in Utah and it's light snow and it's never that cold here. Like not like some places, but
no, it's not like Colorado
like Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado, Canada could be so cold.
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you think the Wasatch shaped you as a skier?
I think it definitely catered to me because we had a lot of terrain parks growing up, and then it snowed a ton. So we, had access to these amazing resorts. There's so many resorts right here too.
Mm-hmm. And
getting to know all those resorts, like I know all the cliff hits at like 5 resorts here. Like
that's amazing. And which one's your favorite?
Well, I grew up skiing the canyons, which is now just part of Park City, but we call it the canyon still. And that's definitely my favorite because it was like my little honey hole. I would just go there. I'd have on each lift, I've had my like couple favorite runs, and I would just go there every pow day and just get what's mine.
Yeah. Oh, it's good to be king, man. I love it.
Or just like ski the runs I wanted to ski, and then be out with a group of homies, and we'd be trading off and doing backflips. And yeah, I mean, and then we got to go over ski Snowbird and Alta, and there's so much terrain over there, and get showed around by the locals. Like Andrew Pollard's my good buddy. He grew up there up on the mountain, and so anytime I go link up with those guys, like we just get these hot laps going, and we're just like a train of us, just hitting like 10 natural hits all the way down the mountain. It's so fun.
Amazing, man. What a place to grow up.
For
So
sure.
the last question, man, what's next for you? Like what's on your immediate runway?
My immediate runway,
Yeah.
just between in the gym, working out a bunch. I'm stoked with my shoulder because I can still work out my legs and my core.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's huge.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And right now my PT is just like some massage of my neck and back, and getting my house dialed in, doing a yard sale pretty soon here.
Nice.
Yep. And yep, my girlfriend's moving in, which is really exciting.
Yeah,
And
congrats, man.
yeah, I'm stoked. And then just really fueling the fire for next year, man. I've never had this much time for myself to get fit. I'm sober right now, just totally focused on grinding, and I'm hungry as ever for slope style. I'm hungry as ever for backcountry skiing. I have my plan set for next season. I'll be 6 months, will be January, start of January. I'll be 6 months out of shoulder surgery.
Perfect.
And that's just in time for 2 World Cups, one in France, one in Switzerland, and then X Games is end of January. So I'll have 2 events. I'm thinking I'm going to do those just to kind of, get back into the swing of things and get ready for X Games, because that's obviously what I want to be ready for the most. And then right after X Games, we go to Mammoth for a World Cup at the start of February. And then we have 5 weeks off. So then I'll be filming, and
Perfect.
yeah, we'll see what I'll be doing. Just kind of chasing the snow, whether it's up in Wyoming or Montana or Idaho or here, or, driving up to BC. If BC's having a good start to a season, I'll go up there and talking with Sammy about maybe doing a project. But luckily my roommate and best friend bought a camera at the beginning of the season, and we got him on payroll with Good Company, which is Tom Walsh and company's film production.
Great.
It's amazing having my roommate. Yeah, my good buddy who I've snowmobiled with for the last 8 years.
Wow.
Amazing snowmobiler, really smart. Like best person to be in the backcountry with. Bought a camera, and instantly we just started getting so many shots, and a lot of days just him and I went out, and that's the grunt of my project was filmed with just him. And he's thinking of not doing his construction job anymore and just being a full production guy and coming on with me. And so the more money I can get from my sponsors, him and I are just going to go all in and maybe just do a personal project next year. We'll see what comes of it, but just going to try and film as much as we can this next season, because knowing that the season after is going to be a lot of Olympic, leading up to the Olympics, and trying to crush it in the World Cups to get my ranking up. And yeah, I'm excited, man. There's a lot of good stuff to look forward to in these next few years. And I know because previously it goes by really quick, next thing I know, it's going to be, Olympic qualifiers, and I'm just going to enjoy all of it because I know how fast it all goes by, and I know what it's like to look back in the rear view like, damn.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to see it in your face and in your eyes right now, man. You got a lot of cool stuff coming on. I'm proud of you, man, and I'm really excited to see what you guys do next. And I definitely hope your buddy gets rid of that construction job. This is it's just lining up. It's just all lining up, man. It looks really good. Well, Colby, that's all I got for you, man. Do you have any other thoughts you'd like to share here at the end of the show?
I don't think so, bro. I appreciate all you do for the ski community with SnowBrains and stuff. And
well, thank you.
Cool. It's really cool. You're clearly very passionate skier, and it's awesome that you spread so much knowledge to everyone. And I appreciate that. And I'm glad to be a part of your podcast. I think it's cool.
Well, that's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me, dude. Thank you very much. I'm blushing. Well, Colby, thanks so much for your time, man. Thank you so much for being here, and have an awesome day. And I hope we get to ski together soon.
Yeah, man, for sure. Let's line up a trip. Go cat skiing or something.
I'm down, dude. Let's do something mellow.
Yeah.
I know, man. Thanks again.
All right, brother.
Thank you so much for listening to the SnowBrains podcast. If you liked this podcast, please share with your friends and family, and please subscribe. To find out more about SnowBrains, please visit us at snowbrains.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SnowBrains. This episode of the SnowBrains podcast was edited by Jared White and Ben Hout. Music by Chad Crouch. I'm your host, producer, and creator, Miles Clark.